Hello and welcome to your long-awaited educative and dynamic health show, Consulting Room 5. I am Dr. Sue, your host for this program. Consulting Room 5, as I said, is a health show that aims at educating all our viewers on very important health topics and issues in a detailed but relaxed, practical and entertaining environment. Today we are going to talk about a very important topic that affects every aspect of our lives significantly, being it social, physical, emotional, and financial. Stress and stress management. As we've all noticed that the world is fast-paced and stress has become an inevitable part of our lives, influencing both our mental and physical health significantly. Effective stress management is essential for maintaining a balanced lifestyle and preventing various health-related issues. It is crucial to recognize the sources of stress, which can vary from work-related pressure to personal challenges, and develop strategies to cope with them. Do you know that we have different types of stress? I guess you didn't know. Stay right here and don't blink an eye. We will be right back. Welcome back. You are in Consulting Room 5 with me, your host, and a very renowned clinical psychologist who is going to help us understand all about stress. He is Dr. Isaac Newman Arthur. He's the medical director and a clinical psychologist for the University of Professional Studies Medical Directorate. He's also the PRO of the Ghana Psychological Association. Doctor, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Doctor, the way I'm stressed today, I think you have to relax me. Doctor, how are you? I like your outfit.
Thank you very much.
Okay. So when we talk about stress, what do we mean by stress?
So generally, stress is part of mental health problems. So it means that what we're talking about is a health problem. Because people don't see that as part of health. So stress is part of health issues, mental health issues. So stress basically is the response to internal or external demands that can be overwhelming. So we look at internal and external stresses. So anytime anybody realizes that the demands that they are responding to is overwhelming, it's likely that state is the description of what stress looks like, right? So the internal demands can be, so stresses are not just external things.
Okay.
So external things we know, external demands like traffic, responsibilities at home, financial issues, marital problems, child-related problems.
So those are
external stresses.
Okay.
But we have internal stresses also.
Okay.
Like pessimism, like anger, bitterness, negative thinking, and all those things that we don't know that they are all internal stresses.
Oh. Because
the body responds the same way. So someone may not have financial problems, yet they have anger issues.
And the person may be going through stress.
Yes.
So there are internal stresses and external stresses. And the external stresses are the things that
is outside your body, like when you look at your academics, career-related or work-related problems, financial issues, marital conflict and problems, issues with raising a child. All those things are traffic,
right.
Housing issues.
Okay.
All those things are external stresses. But internal stresses are the things that more like what happens in there based on your own thinking, feelings, and behavior.
So can I say that an internal stressor is how you carry out things that happen to you?
Yes, you can say that, but they are all things about how you think, feel, or behave.
Okay.
Right. So, for example, bitterness is an internal stressor.
Okay.
So someone may have very, very sound financial things, everything around them is moving on well, yet the body is responding to something that is internal, and that may be bitterness, unforgiveness.
Okay.
If you look at negative, appreciation of life, Those things are internal stresses.
Internal
Because the
stresses.
body responds the same way like they respond to external things.
Okay.
Anger, those things, yes.
So what are a few signs that one may see that he or she is going through stress?
So the signs are a product of the body's internal, mechanisms to deal with stress. So anytime we go into some kind of stress, the body actually marshals its internal resources to be able to deal with the stressor. So there is a system in the body that is activated, right? The nervous system of the body is what helps us to interact with the environment, to think, to feel, to judge, respond to environment. Whilst you're talking, we're able to do that. I appreciate what I'm saying because of a system in the body called the nervous system. So we have the brain, we have the spinal cord, and the nerves, plus other cells that are part. So that is what makes us functional. And this system controls everything in the body.
The body. Okay.
It makes you functional. It makes you able to cope and adjust, to adapt, to understand, to judge, to remember and all that. But there's a system in the nervous system that is activated, right, called the sympathetic system. Right? Any time that you feel stressed, the body actually activates an internal mechanism to help you deal with the stressor, either to move away from the stressor or to fight the stressor. Because the body cannot coexist with stress. Right? And so when this is activated, there are all kinds of chemicals that are released in the body. Cortisol is released, adrenaline is released, norepinephrine is released. All those things are released. And these chemicals that are released in the body, without your conscious permission, so
they are just released.
They are released. The moment there's a stressor, they are released.
Does it have any effect on the body?
Yeah, so those ones, they influence body systems. So you may have the symptoms and also the complications of stress. So when those systems are activated, it influences blood pressure. Right? It influences...
So you hold on with that. Hold on with that for me. Okay. I just want you to mention the few types of stresses that we know.
Okay. So there are 4 basic types of stress. People have classified stress in many ways, but 4 of them. We have the EU stress. EU stress.
EU.
Yes.
Like
EU.
European Union.
Yes, EU stress.
Okay.
So EU stress.
EU stress. Okay.
The EU stress is the normal stresses that are not too overwhelming. So day-to-day things.
Okay.
Minor things. Actually, the body needs some stimulation.
Like waking up early.
Yes, some stimulation to be able to function. Because these chemicals I talked about, they are also released. The body needs it to be able to function.
Okay.
But when the stress becomes overwhelming, then they are released in amounts that are destructive. So you stress the day-to-day. So you wake up, you have to clean a bit, go a bit. Maybe there's an assignment coming, you would have to go. Those basic, the body needs that to be able to release those neurochemicals so that the body will function. So that's the eustress. Then we have the acute stress. Acute stress is stress that is overwhelming, but over a very, very short time, and it goes away.
So it just comes...
Yeah, like about a day, 2 days.
Oh, days?
Yeah, a day.
I thought like minutes.
No, it can be minutes to days. Okay. So it's a few days.
Okay.
When you are overwhelmed, and it goes away. So, for example, you have a TV show, you have to prepare, right? 3 days. You feel overwhelmed a bit. After that, it goes away, right? So those are short duration kind of stress. The body is alerted a bit, but after the stressor is removed, realize that you go back to
fine.
You are fine.
Okay.
So maybe let's say there's a party coming, 3 days, you have to prepare for it.
Or you are going to have your wedding.
Yes, or an interview.
Yes,
you are going for an interview.
A job interview.
Just about 2 days, and after that there's no more interview, so it's gone. So that is like short duration stress.
Okay.
Then we have the episodic. Episodic stress is stress that comes in episodes. So for example, 2 days. You are stressed, it goes away. The next week, another 2 days or 3 days. The next 2 weeks, another 2 days, 3 days. So those ones are not there all the time.
Episodic.
Yes.
Episode.
Yes.
Episode 1, episode 2, episode 3.
Episodic stress. It comes in periods.
Okay.
Right. Then we have the chronic stress. Chronic stress is stress that is overwhelming and is almost there all the time for a long time.
Okay.
So you have this person who has some stresses in their lives, and almost all the time they're overwhelmed. Okay. And that is the most dangerous.
So the chronic one is the most dangerous.
It's the most, because
actually, I was
all
going to
the
ask
time-
you, because I didn't know, among these four,
Yes.
which ones do you think, as corporate workers, we encounter as we do our day-to-day activities?
I think it's the chronic kind of stress, because, for example, if let's say you live in Accra,
Yeah.
right, Cape Coast is easier to live. Cape Coast, within 10-15 minutes, you are
Yeah.
wherever you want to go. You would have
And
arrived.
it's not only Cape Coast, though. When you go to Bono East, Bono...
Yes, so there are places where you go and, you don't have, but imagine you live in Accra.
Yes,
Maybe,
and now in Kumasi too.
Yes, yes. So maybe you are at Ofanko.
Right.
And you have to come to Accra Central every day. So every day there's traffic. Every day you're under pressure to wake up early. If you have kids, you have a spouse, you have to attend to them. Then you have to rush to work, through the traffic to work. At work, you have several responsibilities through the day. It's not like you don't go to work to go rest or relax. From morning till evening, you are overwhelmed. Then you have to be in the same traffic and come home. It depends on your family dynamics. You have to come and do something at home. And before you realize you are sleeping at 9 or 10. So from morning till
So
10
you're talking
PM.
about 9 or 10. People slept after 12.
Yeah, so maybe 9, 10, 12. So from morning till 12 in midnight, you are working. Then you have to sleep just for about 4 hours, get up again. So a lot of the corporate
it becomes
environment.
a routine.
Yes.
And
Yes.
how do you see your personal stress triggers? How, after taking us through these 4 types of stress, of which I think I have identified mine, the chronic one. So how would I be able to know the triggers? What triggers the stress?
Well, I think that sometimes we all become so used to, stress that we don't recognize that whatever we are going through is stress. So whatever I've described now is the daily life of many people.
Of us, yes.
And it's like they become used to it. So to be able to identify, you need to be able to have an evaluation of your life, the activities you go through every day, and see how you feel about them.
How would I even know that I'm going through chronic stress?
So the symptoms I talked about, I think I started to, you may have your blood pressure is always up. You may have palpitations, aches and pain, general feeling of unwellness, concentration is poor, attention is poor, memory is affected, libido is affected, your diet
is affected.
Your diet, before you realize you're eating too little or too much. Before you cannot concentrate well, sleep becomes a problem. And you realize that you keep making mistakes. You have anger outbursts.
Doctor, I want you to repeat those one. You said your concentration,
attention,
spine.
memory is a problem. So you go to work and you are behind the PC.
And you are not.
And you realize, you realize that you are really not there. You realize that it's not there. You came to work. There's something we call absenteeism. You didn't show up at work.
But now he's there.
Presenteeism means that you are there, but you're non-functional, you are ineffective.
Presenteeism. So the person is there.
You're there. We saw you at work, but you realize that you're not effective.
Productivity is low.
Yes. And if you have any other underlying medical condition, it just gets worse. So you may have headaches, dizziness, and sometimes you go to the hospital and they run every test, and the doctor says everything is fine. But there's something wrong. It's a sign that you're going through some stress.
Chronic.
Yes, you may be going through some chronic stress, and you would have to start paying some level of attention. Yes.
People taking medications before they sleep. Is it also another form?
So it means that there's a problem.
Chronically,
yes,
every time they have to.
It means that there's a problem.
Wow. Anyways, we are all at risk. Doctor, I think I'm at risk, a serious one. Chronic stress is taking over. Anyway, we'll take a quick break and come again to listen to stress management. Welcome back. We are discussing stress and stress management with Dr. Newman Arthur. Doctor, what are the forms of stress management techniques that we can think of?
So the approach in managing stress, people have all kinds of things, but generally we have professional approach and we have personal approach. So there are things that the professionals will do, and there are things that individuals too would have to do to be able to manage their stresses. So if someone is overwhelmed, they can just walk to the hospital and ask.
Overwhelmed like how?
So if people are stressed, so for example, they have some major stresses that they're struggling to cope. It may be schooling, it may be their career-related or work-related problems. It can be family issues, marriage, conflicts, whatever. So whatever you find as overwhelming and stressful, that is really impacting on your functioning, it means that you may have to get to the hospital to see a professional. So professionals would do subjective and objective assessments. You know, they will engage you in various conversations to understand where the problem is coming from.
Which professionals?
Or walk into any hospital and just talk to any of the doctors that you want to speak to a clinical psychologist or a counseling psychologist.
We want to talk to a clinical psychologist
or a counseling psychologist or a counselor. Or
are they available in all the health facilities?
Around. So not all the health facilities have. But currently, if you go to any government facility or even private facilities, there is someone they contact, to attend to patient.
Would you have to pick folder and go
it's
through all
like
those?
The normal. It's like you're coming to the
walk-in.
Yes, it's like
viewers, as we have learned, we can just walk into a health facility and then ask for a clinical psychologist,
or a mental health worker,
or a mental health worker for counseling, or just talk to the person to ease your stress off. It's therapeutic, right?
Yeah, so it may not just be talk. There are many things we do in therapy.
Okay.
That helps, deal with the problem, depending on the problems. There are all kinds of therapies for all kinds of issues, right? So depending on the problem, then the professional will suggest. So that is the professional approach. Sometimes they may even have to, refer you to see the doctor, a psychiatrist or someone, so that they may have to even prescribe some medications just to be able to help. And depending on the impact on the stress on your functioning, there are all kinds of things that can be prescribed for you, right? But those things come when we realize that there are significant health challenges that you may need medications for. But there are also professionals may do psychotherapy and all that. There are all kinds of psychotherapies depending on the problem, right?
So
and that
those
one without
are
medications. Yes.
The professional
approach, right? Then
how about the personal?
Yeah, so with personal approach, what we do is to teach you certain things that helps you, be able to maximize your mental well-being on a daily basis in order to reduce the impact of the stressor, right? So there are things that we teach people to do. So the first step is to be able to identify what the stress is. Before you even come to the health facility, on your own, you may have to identify, okay, what is making me feel stressed? You will know. You may be able to have a list, itemize the things that is making you feel stressed. Then the next step is to be able to find out whether you can eliminate any of the stresses or you would have to cope with them. There are things that you can eliminate. So for example, if every weekend you have to go for a funeral or wedding, you can eliminate. If there are certain activities you are involved in that really doesn't demand your presence, you can eliminate. If there are other responsibilities you have taken on that you realize that you really can do without, you can eliminate, right? Wow. So for example, some people are working multiple jobs to maintain a certain lifestyle.
Yeah.
But you can decide that, okay, can I tone down with some of my lifestyle things that is really not essential, so that I will not require these number of jobs to meet those standards.
The standard. Okay.
Because really, you are dying.
Yeah.
But
doctor, there are people
yes.
who resort to alcohol to release their stress. Some people take coffee to release stress. You know the implications.
Yes.
So it's solving the problem, as it's helping reduce stress, but its health
so
implications.
those kind of coping strategies, we call them maladaptive or dysfunctional coping strategies. It means that those things are not effective. Drinking alcohol or those things does not fix the stress. It provides a temporary relief, but does not fix the problem. In addition to that, it adds on to your health challenges. So they are called maladaptive or dysfunctional coping strategies. And people use that, in order to try and
temporary solutions.
Yes, and that it doesn't help. Because finally it's going to destroy your health.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. So when you identify the stressor and you are able to see the ones you're able to eliminate, then the ones you cannot eliminate, what you do is that you either change how you see it or adopt ways of dealing with it. So for example, you have kids, you cannot eliminate them.
Exactly.
You can't just go dump them somewhere and say that, no.
Now I'm free.
So they are there. What you do is that you may have to change how you see what they do. So instead of saying, my child is a bad boy, you may tell yourself that my child at this present is going through some challenges. Things are going to become better. So the impact of the stressor is not entirely based on the stressor itself, but how you see the stressor.
Okay.
Right?
But some stresses, anyhow you see it, there is nothing you can do about it. Let's say you've gone for a mortgage.
Yes.
At the end of the month, you need to pay.
Yes.
How do you go about it?
So two people, mortgage issues.
Yeah.
One person will say, this mortgage is I'm struggling to pay. I don't think I'll be able to get through this. When is this going to end? You are evaluating the stressor in a certain negative way. But someone will say, I have mortgage, I struggle to pay it, but whatever it is, I will overcome this. You see, so a positive attitude. Yes, a positive attitude towards a stressor reduces the impact of the stressor.
Okay.
So for example, two people are going to write exams. One person, usually we evaluate the stressor first. We call it primary appraisal. Then we evaluate our ability to deal with the stressor. We call secondary appraisal.
So the stressor is what is causing the stress on you? What
is causing the stress. Okay. So you either evaluate it, then the second evaluation we do, right, is evaluating our ability to deal with it.
Okay.
So example, someone is going to write an exam. Two people. The first person would say, this exam is difficult. Primary appraisal. You have appraised the stressor. I have not learned. I don't think I can write. Secondary appraisal. If both are negative.
Do we have tertiary?
No. So if both are negative, the impact goes up. Another person will say, this exam is not difficult.
I have not learned.
I have not learned. You see, it will be a bit
manageable
than the person. Another person will say, this exam though it's difficult, I have learned, I'll pass. Even if I fail, I'll write again.
Do I have external contributors to this? People maybe encouraging, motivating, just to help you to appraise your stresses?
Yeah, there are all kinds of resources out there that people can get involved. There are podcasts, there are all kinds of things that people can actually access. So the third thing I said in terms of managing is to be able to see whether you can, you have to change how you say it, or you have to learn how to develop certain lifestyle, daily lifestyle that helps you cope well. So when you cannot eliminate a stressor, you need to change how you see it. Let me give you another example. There was a lady who was always complaining about the husband. Husband this, my husband this, my husband that, right? So at some point, she actually had to change how she thinks about the husband. And she realized that no, the husband is good, yet he has challenges. My husband is not that bad. The same husband, but the perception about the husband changed. And she'll feel less stressed.
So is it a way of, or a strategy of coping?
Yes, so it's one of the coping strategies.
Okay.
To change how you see the stressor, or adopt certain other coping strategies that helps you able to cope with the stressor. So daily things, there are several of them. Maybe I can mention a few.
So how can we effectively manage these stress at work? How can you have some kind of coping strategy to manage stress at work, since we are all working?
Okay, so there are corporate things that helps ease stress at work. Then also there are personal things that people will have to do. So corporate things, the system itself must be friendly.
Which system?
The work system.
So the work environment?
Work environment.
Okay.
So if you go to certain corporate organizations, just the setup alone is relaxing.
Okay.
It's
soothing.
Yes, it's soothing. The attitude of
the colleagues, your colleagues, your superiors,
makes work less stressful. The conditions of service, the ambience, even for some workplaces, they even have a creche for new
mothers. Yeah, okay.
See, some workplaces are very, very, very thoughtful that they may even decide that instead of 1 hour break in the afternoon, you can do 2 hours. Go eat, catch some nap for about an hour, and come back.
But how is productivity?
You said?
How is productivity over there with 2 hours?
It will go up.
It goes up. Okay.
Productivity will go up because when people are stressed, they make mistakes. They are not able to think well. They are not able to put in their best. They would extend it to other people.
Other things.
For example, you come to the hospital and you may have people who are overworked, and their attitude even towards clients may even be different.
Yeah.
If I'm tired and a client comes, you cannot smile the way you want to
Exactly.
smile.
You need to fake.
Right. So those corporate and HR related, you limiting abuse and all those things, right, improves on the working environment to be able to help staff perform.
So let's say all these things you are mentioning, I do not have control over them.
Yes.
Me as an individual, I don't have conducive environment. The workplace does not support anything. As an individual, how do I cope with such stress?
So you change how you see the work environment. Okay, this work environment is not appropriate, but it puts food on my table. It's someone's prayer topic. The more you see things, okay, my boss is a bit difficult, but so when you change how you think about it, will help. Then daily, there are daily things, stress management, things that you can do. The first one has to do with rest.
Right?
Rest.
Sleeping. Is it sleeping or rest?
Rest. Anything
Okay.
that is restful, including sleep.
Okay.
It really helps. So what it means that you don't carry work home. Leave work at work. And the home should be so cozy for rest. Because sometimes you enter places and the whole place is all over the place, such that it adds to your stress. Without anything, you realize that. And that's when people go for programs and they go and lodge at hotels and stuff. It is more like a restful place.
Yeah.
Right? So make sure that your home is a restful
Is it good to keep desk in your bedroom?
You don't do that. Because the moment you have a desk, it's like the feeling that you must work also comes. Though, as much as possible, the home should be a restful environment. So you need to make time to sleep. Adults need about 5 to 8 hours of sleep to be able to do well. And what it means is that when you go home, be home. Put away everything and decide that you're going to rest. So rest is important. Exercise is important. The day you start exercising, you start feeling differently. When you exercise,
immediately you start exercising,
you will start feeling
different. You feel so
light. The day
light.
you do some brisk walk, some small jogging and stuff, you realize exercise really will boost your mood. There's better circulation. There's everything that you can think about.
Exercise.
Then again, to good nutrition. A lot of fruits, veggies.
Let's hold on to the nutrition. I want us to go back to the bedroom because rest has become an issue now. Yes. A lot of people, when they see room colors, painting, yes. What are some of the paintings that we can adopt in our bedrooms? Let's say red, blue, gray.
When the brighter colors for the bedroom doesn't help.
Brighter colors?
Yes. And again, a lot of lighting for the bedroom doesn't work because the body needs some dark environment so that it can produce certain chemicals like melatonin, right? They help sleep.
Melatonin.
Right? Yes. So
helps sleep.
Yeah, it helps sleep. So in a dark environment, you are able to sleep better.
Yeah.
And that is why a lot of people will switch off the light. so that they can sleep. So the dimmer the room environment is fine. But you would have to choose things that really makes you feel good about your own house.
Okay.
Right? You know, people are actually stimulated by many very good things. And that one you would have to decide.
How about the office?
The office should be cozy. I think that there are a lot of things that you may find in the office that it's not necessary
Proper.
to be there. Now a lot of things are changing. Now if you didn't go to certain hospitals, you won't go and see a table and a chair. You may see couches.
Yeah.
You know, why should a doctor sit behind a table? I have a table in my office, but you can eliminate all those tables and use, you know, couch. You know, a lot of things are happening. There are places you go to and it's like you are in a home, but you are in a hospital.
Which also psychs you up.
Yes,
it calms your nerves.
eases you. You go to certain people's offices and the places, even the chair people sit on, if it's very, very uncomfortable, you have aches and pain all the time. So even the chair can be stressful. You know, the office navigation through it can be very, very stressful. Right? So rest is important. Good nutrition. Nutrition.
Okay.
A lot of fruit, veggies and stuff. It helps. You need all the vitamins, vitamin B complex, all those things. It really helps. And sometimes you have to eat what you feel like eating that day.
Healthy. It should be healthy,
though. Healthy. But, you know, sometimes you wake up and there's maybe jollof on your mind, or you have some wache on your mind, or some gobe on your mind. You know, when you eat what you feel like eating that day, if it's a healthy diet, it
makes you feel good.
Feel good about yourself.
And it adds
so
up to
something just like diet, you know, has a way of boosting your mood. You know, then again to being thankful.
Thankful.
Gratitude every day.
Okay.
You know, when you're thankful, it's like you don't see the world broken. You don't see the world as hard. You know, when you appreciate what you have, it's easy to move through life. Because really, there are a lot of things that we think we don't have and we want that really.
They are not a need.
And sometimes people will get it and realize that no, what next? And what next can even be a source of stress. So you need to be very thankful and be content with what you have.
Contentment.
Really helps. It eases a lot of problems.
Yeah.
So then again to forgiveness, like I said, unforgiveness, anger, bitterness.
I was actually going to ask you, how do we deal with anger?
Well, there are a lot of anger management things. People talk about deep breathing exercises.
Frustration, anger, unforgiving.
But what I do that helps, you know, is to be able to see life in a positive way and be more empathetic towards others. So that whatever others do does not affect you significantly. Yeah. That is what I do. You know, and
is it a professional way?
Oh, I think it's for my own peace and safety and happiness.
Okay.
You know, so I hardly get angry, and even if I'm disappointed, I have a way of just dealing with it, because at the end of the day, you may not be able to change a lot of things, right? So you need to learn to forgive also quickly, because those things are internal stresses, and it really, really would affect you the same way finance and those things can affect your health. You know, then again, we talk about prayer and meditation. Really, really helps. You know, in that calmness of meditation, you have a better perspective to life. You know,
what should we meditate on?
Well, people have all kinds of things that they believe in, right? But if you're a Christian, then the Bible talks about, you know, meditation on God's word. You know, thinking about God's goodness. And sometimes during meditation, there's some music, and that is why, for example, someone may be overwhelmed and go to church. And some people don't understand why some people love going to church. Because that environment may be how they're able to cope with life.
Cope with life, yeah.
So you will understand. Now, why is this person always going? Yours may be, you may be going to the club or going to, you know, some beach or something. The person has chosen to be in church, you know, as a way of, you know, because they understand what God has done for them, they understand what life is about. They actually.
So apart from like religion, I mean, religious activities, can people also go to the beach?
Yes, so those things are getting involved in some hobbies and some relaxation kind of places and involving those things. So go sightseeing, go to the beach, you know, go to places that are away from the stresses of life, you know, to be able to cool down. And then again to We talk about drink enough water. Dehydration actually disturbs everything in the body. Your brain won't function too well when you are dehydrated. So you drink a lot of water. Then I'll talk about, setting realistic goals, and expectations of others. Sometimes we expect so much of others, so much of life, so much of even your country.
So we should take it easy.
Yeah, because really, sometimes even God is surprised with your prayer topic. Because
it's so huge that
it won't come to pass.
It won't come to pass.
Particularly at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
These kind of
the 31st night kind of, yeah.
And some of them, it's just, I'm sure sometimes God listens to all the prayers and wonder,
you'll be like,
no, it won't come to pass. Right? So people should relax a bit. Your expectation of people, you should calm down a bit. Your expectations
of your partners,
yes, you should calm down
children, you put so much stress on them.
So people would have to relax with their expectations. Then taking a day at a time.
Yeah.
Don't dream. There's a song, when you dream big. It's not healthy.
Dream big as the
It's not healthy.
Oh, really?
We tone down a bit.
So then dream big as the river.
No. The big is the problem. Limit your. I know the mindset behind the song.
Okay.
The person had a certain mindset that don't limit how far you can go.
The sky should be now.
Yes.
Above the sky should be.
So relax a bit, because really, we get involved in so many things. People have so many big dreams, and finally, before you realize you're dying, before you realize you're overwhelmed, and that is why people.
And it breaks you down.
Some people at the peak of their career, before you realize they are gone.
They are gone.
Right. So, if you can reduce all those things, you realize that life is really not as hard as people. You really don't need that car in order to be okay.
That maybe Rolls Royce, when you can use maybe what? A Toyota.
You really don't. You really don't need that to be okay.
Okay.
If you get fine, but it shouldn't be like you are so consumed about it. Now you go to various schools, these universities and stuff, and there are girls or guys there whose dream is what others have worked 10 years, 20 years for, and because of that, they are involved in all kinds of shady stuff.
Yeah.
In order to get there, and before you realize, by the time you get to 30, 35, you are spent. And when you come home, you can't be available to your spouse because you're overwhelmed in many things. You want your child to go to that school.
Yeah.
You want them to have.
You want to belong.
I want them to be here so that they can go to Europe. It's a whole.
Maybe your child also doesn't even want to go to Europe. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a whole thing about managing your expectation, being content about life. That easy stress. Then we talk about. Also, usually when couples come and they are married couples come and they are complaining about stress and intimacy and stuff. Intimacy really eases stress. Right. During intimacy, there are all kinds of chemicals that are released.
And hormones.
Dopamine, or oxytocin, endorphins, serotonin, and all
releases
those
stress.
Right. What do you call it? Also eases stress.
So the couples when they argue and then they sleep this way, back to back.
So that is the problem.
Okay.
And that is why some couples will fight after being intimate. It's like everything dies down. And again, when married couples are tired, they try to avoid. So sex in itself may have to be toned down, but there should be intimacy. You may not be able to have sex, but you can be intimate such that those hormones, when they are released, it really, really, helps each.
Sex is not always the way to be intimate.
Yes. And again, I think one of the important stress management tips is to mind your own business.
Mind your own business?
Yes.
Okay.
You don't have to have an opinion about everything. You don't have to comment about everything. Sometimes just watch and let people be. Particularly in marriage.
Okay. So just end with that.
Particularly in marriage. Okay. People want to have an opinion about everything their spouse does. They want to comment about
so much of
everything.
An intrusion.
Not even intrusion. You're just worrying yourself. Because the person is an independent person.
Yeah, independent.
Who is dependent on you in some way. And when you stop...
Doctor, can you share a personal experience about a stress that's probably in your home or at work? I would like the home. How you've been able to manage such stress? I don't want any trivial stress. I want a very detailed stress that you're able to manage at a point in time.
So at some point I realized that, for example, my kids are all over the place. Kids have to play. They have to run around. Otherwise they will not develop. You know, and sometimes you come home and you're tired and they are running around, you know, all that. Then I realized that no, why not run around with them?
You?
Yes.
Run around with them.
Why not play with them?
Okay.
Why not? So I started buying these family kind of games.
Okay.
So that I can engage them. Then I realized that they are important stress relievers.
Oh, so it eventually helped you to release
Yes.
stress.
So when parents start playing with their kids, they realize that through that play, it eases stress. So instead of seeing them run around, stop.
You are making noise.
Join them.
Is at the point, if you join them, it even helps you to release stress.
Join them, play with them, and you realize that.
So, doctor, about the play, how about introducing the older time, like worry and the Ludo.
It works. Those days.
So should we get some in our homes?
Yes, it works. You realize that those days it was even fun. You come and every member of the family is around there playing something. You know, it really, really works.
It brings bonds.
Yes.
It releases stress.
Yes.
It
So
helps.
instead of seeing your kids as a stressor, and some parents actually avoid their kids. So before you realize, they have TVs in their rooms, they have
tablets. Everybody's having.
They have to be there.
Okay.
And before you realize, emotional connection and bonding with your kids are not there. So see them as part of.
About husband and wife, quick one.
In terms
husband
of
and
between
wife?
the two
Yes,
of them,
yes.
I think that husbands and wives should let each other be.
They should let each other be.
Yes. What
Like
it means
how?
is that do not be overly involved with your spouse and what they do, because they are totally independent. What if you are not there? You die or there's divorce. Does that mean that that is the end of their lives? So allow them to take some decisions by themselves. Don't be always wanting to have an opinion about what they do. Right? Allow them to also take decisions. Allow them, because marriage is between two independent people who are somewhat dependent on each other. Your wife is not your child. Your husband is not another child.
Your son.
You see, they are independent people who are now trying to depend on each other. So allow them to be. Focus on the bigger pictures. Don't focus on the day-to-day small things. It's stressful. You know, don't focus on, for example, if your husband is going to town and maybe a certain dress came to his mind, and that is what he feels like wearing. And you, maybe husband, can you change this? Says, this is what I want. Let them go.
Let them wear it and go.
Let them go.
So in about 1-2 minutes, can you just summarize, help us, how do we seek for help when you feel you are stressed up?
So I just walk into any hospital.
We should just walk
into any hospital.
At what point should we walk to the hospital?
When you're overwhelmed and it's affecting your functioning. So we all the things I've said helps you manage it without the professional bit. If you're able to do that, it would help you so that you don't have to come to the hospital. But when you realize it's affecting your functioning, it's causing you some pain or distress, it's affecting your work, your relationships.
Just walk to a hospital.
Just go to also like you have malarial hypertension. Talk to the doctor about it. They know who to refer you to so that they can help you manage the situation.
Wow. Viewers, we are with Dr. Isaac Newman, Arthur, a clinical psychologist and a consultant. He's also the PRO for Psychological Association of Ghana, right? He has taught us a lot of things, how to deal with stress. In fact, he said we have 2 types of stress. We have the ill stress and then the what?
We have 4.
4 types. Hey, look at me. No. I wanted to talk about the intrinsic and then the extrinsic.
Okay. Yeah. So the internal and
then the external stresses. So the internal ones you have control over, right?
All of them.
We have control over all of the
But some of them, the control may be a bit difficult.
Yes. Okay. So if you see that you are overwhelmed, you see that your productivity is very low, you cannot concentrate, anything that you see that you used to do that you can do, you can just walk to a hospital to seek for help. Again, let your partners be, right?
Let them be.
They should be. So I think that there are a lot of things that we worry ourselves over as individuals in our homes, in our workplaces, at where we find ourselves. And we should be able to cope with stresses that are with our day-to-day activities so that we don't develop chronic stress. Yeah. Thank you very much, Dr. Isaac Newman Arthur. In fact, we are going to call you anytime we need you, and you have educated us a lot. So viewers, thank you so much for choosing us. I am so sure you have been really educated, and I hope that you manage your stress effectively. Thank you so much, and you will be with us again same time next week.